We will begin in 5 minutes. We will begin in 4 minutes. We will begin in 1 minute. Okay, we're going to begin. It's right on time at 10:30. And I just want to share my screen here. There we go. What I lost someone. What I'd like to point out is that if you click here, there is like 9 dots. If you click the 9 dots, you can switch between Q&A and Showcase. So if you click on the Q&A button, questions will show up on your right-hand side right here. And down here are thumbs up and thumbs down, or thumbs up and thumbs down. And what that is for is if you see something that you like, you can click the thumbs up. Or if you are responding to one of my questions, you can click the thumbs up or thumbs down, like yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. Okay, so going to go into my screen share, and hopefully that I can do this. Okay. So you should now be seeing my Filemaker window. This is a Filemaker file that I've used to set up for student passwords throughout the district. So I'm just going to be showing you today real quick how to use FileMaker, not necessarily how to set up your own database, just how we would use FileMaker. Again, if you have any questions, you can use the questions on the right-hand side. If you are just joining us, you click the little 9 dots up next to your question mark and your picture of you if you're in Google Hangouts, and you can switch between the Showcase and the Q&A. The Q&A lets you put in questions, and I will see them pop up, and I can try and answer them. And what's really nice is for the later viewing, people that are viewing it can see the questions, and when they click on it, they can jump right to where that question is being answered. I have to repeat the question, and then I'll try and answer it as I see them show up. And again, down at the bottom, there should be a thumbs up and thumbs down. That lets me see what's going on. Okay, so you should be able to see my window here, hopefully with enough clarity. I know there was a little bit of problem yesterday. Hopefully you can hear me and not hear a bunch of background noise. I am in my office, so there might be some background noises. This database is one that I set up a long time ago, and it's slowly morphed into what it is today. But it's just a password database because we have all the students in not only Active Directory so they can log into computers, but also into Google so that they can have their Google Apps account. And what I do is every day I get a download from School Tool that shows up in here. And I'm just going to real quick show you how I would maneuver inside here. If you want this database for your use, so you can look up students' usernames and passwords, you can just email me later, and I can send you a file that will open this file in read-only mode so that you can see the information here and not make any changes, because we don't want people just haphazardly making changes. But you can see up here, it has a student ID number and then the name. It has their homeroom. The thing I want to point out here is this is grade 10, and that's the reason it's in red is because it doesn't match. Well, I'm doing this in the middle of summer, so this student has gone up to the next school level. or next grade level. So that doesn't match what's in School Tool. That's why I do these updates for this database with this information on a yearly basis, probably in about 2.5 weeks, when right before school starts. Okay, so what I'm trying to show today is not necessarily the database, but how you would use a database that maybe someone else set up for you, maybe you inherited, or I created it for you, and you just have trouble using it every once in a while. On the top here is this Rolodex. I know I'm dating myself by saying Rolodex, but this is how you would go through records. So I can, breeze through the records. I can also just click in here, and I can jump to, say, record 500 by typing in 500 and hitting return, and it jumps to record number 500. Over here shows me that are not in my found set. So usually when you have a found, you find some, you can jump to the other set of records. In other words, the records that aren't found. Over here, it tells you how many total records I have. So I'm on record number 500 of 7,500 or 859. And they're unsorted. So this is kind of like information here. The next one says, there's a button that says show all records. That, if you had a found set, you could click this and it would show all of your records. So it would, in essence, find everything. These are the two buttons that would not normally be available in the database that I would send out for this, because it's read-only. But this is where you would create a new record, and this is where you would delete the existing record. Here's where you would enter the find mode, so you can find based on any kind of criteria there. Notice that there's a little drop-down box there. You can do what's called saved finds. So I could find one. So I'm just going to type in here, and I'm going to type in under the last name, Surma, because that's my kids' names. They both go here to Liverpool. So if I click perform find, you can see that I found 3 records, which is unusual because there's only 2 Surmas that I know of. So we'll see. There's my daughter's record. Notice that she's in 9th grade. There's my son's record in 10th grade. And there's why I find Surma, because it's Surman. So it found it because it matches that criteria. I didn't say only limited to that, which is really handy. Just be prepared that you might not get what you want. Now this button over here will show that I have 3 of those 7,859 records found. If I click that, I get the exact opposite. In other words, I find all the records except those 3 records. So you can see that you have a way to switch back and forth between those 2 found sets. Again, now our show all button will be available to us so that we can find all of the records at once. So I can just click that and it shows all of those records. The sort records lets me put them in some kind of a sort order. So when I click on the sort button, I get a sort window, which you're not seeing. Okay, I'm not sure why. Yeah, on your screen you're seeing it thing. It's because I'm showing just this window so it's clearer for you. I'm going to stop that for just a second. And we're going to change to my whole screen. There we go. Okay, it's going to be a little bit harder to see, but I just want to show this real quick. When I click the find button either here or down here, notice, no, not find, sorry, it was a sort. When I click on sort, this is the window that pops up, and I don't know if this will work. No, it won't. I thought I could zoom in. I know it's hard to see on the screen, but these are the records that are on this layout. That's what's important to note, is this layout here shows just the fields that are visible on this layout. I could click here and say anything from this table, so it would show me anything. So if it wasn't there, I could do it. What I want to do is I want to sort by grade and then by name. So I'm going to do student last name and then student first name. So it's going to sort all the grades, then first and last name. When I click sort, and I'm going to switch back so that it's a little easier to see. There we go. I stayed on the same record that I was on. In other words, I was on my daughter's record, but I did the sort. Notice here now it says that I still have that same number of records, but in the parentheses here it says they're sorted. I'm on now record number 7,115. If I drag this all the way back to 1, the first record has nothing, so it's a blank record that got created by mistake. There's another one that's created by mistake because these are BOCES students that I had to add. There's our first record where it's in grade 1. So it's sorted numerically number 1. Now, if I drag this all the way to the end, you think you're going to see 12th graders, right? Nope. There's actually preschoolers, then pre-K, which shouldn't be in there, and then kindergarten. And when you sort a numeric or a text field, it sorts numbers, then letters. So all the numbers come first, then the letters. Just to be aware of when you're doing a search or a sorts, that text fields sort by number and then by letters. So the K comes after the number, all the numbers are done. Okay, and the last one is share. We won't be covering that today. So if you want to find a record, you can click the find button and you can enter any information you want. So for instance, if I wanted to find all of the students in 10th grade, I could click that and say perform find, and it would find me all the students that have 10th grade listed there. I can also find all the students in 5th grade at a particular school. So let's say I want all the students in 5th grade at Liverpool Elementary School. So notice I have 2 fields filled out. That's called an AND search. So I'm doing grade 5 and Liverpool Elementary. And that will show me that there are 52 students that are registered in this. Now that may not be accurate because again, we're doing it in the middle of summer. But that's what I had in this database. So there was 5th grade at Liverpool Elementary. Now, I can also do what's called an OR search. So I can click on find and I can say, okay, I want at Liverpool Elementary, but I want 5th grade, and then I hit new request, and I want Liverpool Elementary 6th grade. So you notice up here at the top where we normally had our records, I have requests instead of records, and I'm on 2 requests. So 6th grade at Liverpool Elementary and 5th grade at Liverpool Elementary. So there's 2 requests. When I click perform find, I'm going to get both 5th graders and 6th graders. And what's really nice is when I click my sort button, you're not going to see it, but automatically it remembers that sort that I did. So now they say sorted. And now the 5th graders come first, and at the end is my 6th graders. So that was called an OR search. So it found everyone that was in 5th grade or 6th grade from Liverpool Elementary School. Now, another way you can do this is, let's do a find again. And this time, I'm going to say find all the students at Liverpool Elementary. So I click find, and now there's fourth grade. I went, oh, I really don't want fourth grade. So I can click once on there and click again because it's a drop-down field that I've created. And I'm going to right-click on there. And I'm going to say constrain found set. So I want to find just the fourth graders now at Liverpool Elementary. So I did a constrain and I found my 39 records of Liverpool Elementary School and fourth grade. So you can do that right-clicking. Sometimes it's really, really handy. So again, I'm going to click the Show All button, and I'm going to just jump up to record 600. There's ninth grade, and there's homeroom. Oh, wait, that's a good one. Let's find homeroom. So I can right-click on homeroom and say, find matching records. So it's going to show me all the students that have a homeroom of D435. And there's 24 students real quick. Real easy. I didn't have to enter find mode. I didn't have to go through and type it in. I just did a right click and say find matching records. Okay. It's just a nice, easy way to do quick finds that we can utilize. Okay, so we're going to go back to show all and go through the other way that we can do a find. When we click on find, we can have the records be found by more than one criteria on more than one screen. So in this screen, I have the ability to put in, oh, let's do home school again. We'll do Morgan Road this time. But I also want to change to my list view, and I want just 6th grades. So I'm in the same find request. Notice that I don't have that school on this field, but because it knows it in the background, when I click on it, it's going to show me just the ones that are in Morgan Road. Notice that it's there because it's the short name in here, and I have it here. So I didn't necessarily have to be on that same screen. This is the different layouts. So there's my form view where I had Morgan Road Elementary School, and I took 6th grade. You can change your find criteria as long as you're in the same database. You can change different layouts to do different find criteria. So if one part of your find or the data that you want to find is on one layout and the other part's on another layout, you can switch between it as long as you haven't gone in and put in the perform find. You can get to it. Okay. All right. What else did I want to show you here? I did find sorting and navigation across there. Okay, I'm just looking on my notes here real quick. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is, I know this is going to be a little disconcerting, but we're going to jump back. I don't see anyone questions, so that's pretty good. I'm going to jump back to the screen here, and we're going to close that, and I'm going to show you another feature of FileMaker, and I think there it is. Okay, and I'm in Google Drive, my Google Drive folder, but I'm in Chrome to get to it. So I could, remember I showed yesterday, I could double click there and it will show you my downloads, and I could try and do it. Or I could use my Google Drive and open that up and scroll down here to FileMaker and my Excel documents. Okay. Now what I want to show you here is a cool feature of FileMaker. So let's say I went into School Tool or someplace else and I got this file here that it saves it as a comma separated value, so CSV. And I see the CSV, and I don't know if you know it or not, but while we're doing training here, if you just press the space bar one time on this, it's going to show you a little quick preview of it. It's not, you can't do anything to it. You can just see it. Notice that here is the field names across the top, and then the data underneath it. And I actually have a button that says Open with Microsoft Excel. You press the space bar again to hide that. So if I have this data that I got from some website or school tour or whatever, I can actually pop that into FileMaker so I can really do a lot of cool stuff with it. And to do that, it's really, really, really easy. All I do is click on that file and drag it onto FileMaker Pro icon on my dock, click on it, and it will come up with this window right here that says first row option. What data is commonly in the first row? Normally, it's the field name. Now, my big beef with FileMaker since version 2, they automatically assume it's data, even though commonly it's field names. Why they do that, I don't know. But you just click on field names because we just did a preview, so we know that the first row does contain the field names. We click OK. And it's going to ask us where do we want to save this. I'm just going to keep it on my desktop just so I have it. And it's going to name it automatically the name of the file that we imported, that we dragged on top of the icon. And it's going to add the FMP12 extension because it's a FileMaker 12 format file. I'm using FileMaker 13, and you may be using FileMaker 14. They're all the same format for it. So it popped it in. There's the field names across the top and the data. And I'm going to change back to that so it's a little bit easier to read. Yeah, you can see that, right? This is a little different because I'm looking at two different screens, so I can make sure that what I want you to see, you're seeing. And it's just a little bit delayed. Oh, look, I get to see me. Yep, there we go. All right, so it put it in with the field names across the top and our data. At the bottom, there's a scroll bar. I can scroll through and see all of my different fields. You'll notice that right here, it said layout 2. It automatically, when we do that drag to import, it automatically creates 2 layouts for you. The first one is what we call a list view. So it pops all of them in one single record. So this is one record with everything in that row. So this is, all the fields and the data. And I can go through and it's going to pop it in. This is the standard layout of a form view. Layout 2 automatically puts it into what we commonly refer to as a table view. You may think it looks a lot like Excel, and that's what it's based upon. I think I can make this bigger. Oh yeah, there it goes. Oh, there we go. Is that easier for everyone to see, I think? So there's the fields across the top and the data. Again, this is the table view. There is a third option in the middle called a list view, and that's this layout that's not visible. So when I click on the first layout and I'm in this form view, I can click on this list. No, I don't want to do that here. I want to do it on layout 2. In layout 2, I can click on this list view here instead, and it changes from that table view to having all of the records across the top, and then each individual row is a record. Notice that this, I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see that. This blue box here highlights the record I'm on. Notice that there's spacing in between, whereas in the table view, they're very nice and close to each other, like they would be if you were in Excel. So you can switch in between those two really easily, table view and list view, and it just shows the records there. When I change back to layout 1, which is really designed to be in form view, when I switch to list view, it's not really what you think you're going to get, because what it is I'm on this record, and as I go through, this is the actual record, and this is the next record. It's not really showing you. It does do it correctly on table view, but list view isn't really the way you want it, because it's really trying to display this data, and it's not really this data that's going to be conducive to a list view. So you want to make sure that your layout is set up to be in the list view, and then you can change the table view if you want it. A lot of people like to use the table view. All right, so we did a quick import by just dragging a file in, an Excel file, or that was a CSV file. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to close this window. We're going to go back to my full screen again. And we're going to open up that window that we held. And this time I have an Excel document. Notice that these other ones were CSVs. This is actually an Excel document. Now, the reason I want to point this out is I'm going to do that same, I'm going to do that same spacebar trick that I showed you a minute ago, where I'm going to hit the spacebar, and I'm going to see a preview of the Excel document. Now, I'm not worried about the data for you guys to see, but you see how the top part isn't really data? So if I try to import this in, it's not really going to look real easily. It's not going to match up because it's got this other stuff in the front. So I click on Open with Microsoft Excel, and it's going to open up in Excel. And you're going to see the fact that this first part here doesn't really contain the data that I want. Right there is where I want it to start. So I want to start at actually row 12. So what I would do is come in here, go to that to highlight those records that I don't, or those rows that I don't want, because they really don't contain the data that I want to import into FileMaker. Right click and say delete. And it's going to move them all up. Now my first row contains the actual data field names that I want to use. So I can click on my save, and I'm in a little bit different version of Excel. I'm going to just save it right there, and it's saved there. So I'm going to close that, and now when I drag that file down into FileMaker, it's going to ask me which sheet do I want to use, because there was 2 sheets. I don't know if you see that, but we were just making changes on our first sheet. You can only do 1 sheet at a time and to import into FileMaker. Click continue, and again, field names is what we have. Even though it's common, it doesn't do it. I click that, and it's going to ask me where do I want to save it, and I'm going to say okay. And now we have our database imported with all the stuff going across. Now, we would have to look at the file or the Excel document to know what some of these are. Like this just says field 8. I don't know. Probably didn't have enough data to record in there, but they're just yes, no's in there. And then these are years. This is just an example of what you would see when you import an Excel document where you didn't really dictate what it was going to be showing you. Now, another thing here, this is a number that's in here. It's a beds code. And when you see it here, it's displayed with it in the scientific notation. It's because it doesn't have enough room to display it. So if I click in between here and I just drag this out, it's going to make more room. So now when I click inside there, there's going to be the number. And it's because it's such a big number, it's going to show in that scientific notation. This isn't really a number in the fact that we're going to be doing numbers with it. It's actually a text field. So the way we do that is we go back. I keep switching back and forth just to make it easy for you. So you can see, we're going to actually go up here to File in FileMaker, down to Manage and in a database. You can do that by using the Command key shortcuts if you want, which is Command Shift D. And that brings you up into this database management portion. And you'll notice that that first field that we had in there, that field name was called beds_CD, and it's a number field. It's not really a number field. I mean, it's showing a number because it's a beds code, which is a number, but we're not going to ever use it as a number. So we can click there down here, which is what type of field it is, and change it to a text field. And then we click right here where it says change, and it changes it from a number to a text field. Same thing here. We can do that same thing. Change it to a text field, change. And now when we go in here, we're going to see our numbers formatted properly. Okay? Just one example of when you pull in an Excel document, you may not get the anticipated outcome because of the different field formats. That's what a lot of people run into is their field formats. Is they think that they're dealing with a text field and the field is a number field, or vice versa. And it's caught me many times. So just always be aware of it. And that's why I always, when I'm having a problem, I just go into define fields or define database, manage database. It used to be called define. Manage database, and I look at what kind of field type it is. That will help me determine what I need to do and how I need to adjust what I'm doing so that I can get the desired outcome. Because as many people have heard me say, FileMaker is the greatest program ever invented, and you can do lots and lots of stuff with it. All right, I'm going to take a break here to see if there's any questions. Go back over here. Oops. There it is. No questions. No questions yet. How about thumbs up? Can I get a thumbs up from anyone? I'm not getting any thumbs up. I got one thumbs up. Okay. Okay. Anyone have a question about anything? Question about anything? Got quite a few viewers. But no one Okay, well, continue on then. Just want to move this over here and go back to my screen. Okay. The other, I think this is the right one. No. Oh, this is another Excel document that does not have the problems that I talked about earlier. So if I click on that, you just see it just shows that there. So I can drag that on top of my icon for FileMaker, say field names, click on it. It's going to ask me to save it. I save it, and now I have my database. Now, what I want to show you here is it put in the first 4 that I had data in, but actually the Excel document had more than one empty field. So it brought them in thinking there was data here that I wanted, but in actuality, there's no data. So as you see, I scroll through, there's no real data showing up for anyone to see. So if you want to get rid of those, so you have these extra fields, you can get rid of them in a couple ways. If you think you might use them eventually and you don't not sure, you can just click there on this little drop down box. So there's the field name, and there's a little drop down box there, and it says field, and you can say hide field, so you can just hide it so it goes away. It's no longer visible on this layout. You can also go back down to field and say delete field. And what that does is it actually deletes it. And it says permanently deleting this selected field will delete all the data as well. You can't see that because I'm not sharing that screen, but it's a message that pops up. So I would say delete. Now it's gone. Again, you can just come down to field. You can't see that either. Hide field. All right, so wait. I want you to see this. So I get for trying to be so you could see everything. Okay, so I'm going to come over here so you can see this a little easier. Oh, it's not a feature. Down here in the bottom, there's a zoom feature. The 100 shows that that's what your zoom level is. So this makes the window bigger, but actually clicking the plus or minus zooms in the data so you can see the data that's in here. Makes it a little bit bigger for you. Right here is the thing I was talking about, this little drop down box. When I click on there, I come down to field and I have 2 options, hide field and delete field. If I hide it, it actually just makes it so it's not visible on this layout. If I click the delete field, I get this one right here that says permanently delete the selected fields and all of their data. So I can click delete and now it's gone. And just to try it again, so there's field 8, come down to field, and this time I'm going to go hide field so it's not visible there. So just to show you, when I go into define data or manage database, I have field 5, 8, and 9, but I don't have 6, 7, and I think there was a 10 in there, I'm not sure, but the 2 that I deleted, they're actually gone. Okay, so if I really wanted to use that field 5, and I didn't want it to be called F5, I want it to be called, needs replaced, I can click change, and it will change it so that the field name is called needs replaced. When I click back here and I go field, no, I don't want that. I want table view. No, I want to change that. So I can go into layout mode, and you do that by going to view layout mode, Command L, Control L on a PC, or I can come down here where it says browse, click there, and choose layout mode. When I'm in layout mode, this is where I can see there's needs replaced. Remember we hid it before? That's why it's not here now. So I say button and go back to browse, and it's not there. There it is. Our needs replaced. And in layout 1, it'll show it, and it shows it as needs replaced. Okay. Go back to here, go back to our table mode. That's still not showing up the way I want it. There we go. So we don't want field 9, we want needs replaced. And now we have it. So again, if you didn't see that, I clicked on the drop-down box and I went down to table view, modify, and that brought up this modify table view where I can choose what records to show and what records not to show, and click OK. And now I have my needs replaced, so I can mark those for you. Okay. And checking questions. Oh, we had one question. Oh, thank you. Continue, it says. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my other database. Now this one, I'm actually in as read-only. It's the one I was talking about earlier. And you'll notice that my delete record and new records are dimmed out. So this is the file that I can share with everyone that wants it. And I don't have to worry about changing it. So if I'm here and I know that homeroom is not right, I can't change anything. When I do it, I get an error and a beep. I don't know if you can hear the beep. I get an error that says you can't do that. So what can I do with someone else's database that they've given me access to? And this happens a lot. Someone will say, well, here you go, you can use this database. I can navigate through it. So I can change the layout, how they've done it. I can see any of the other layouts that they've given me access to, including sometimes really nice. There might be labels that I can access. Of course, those aren't good ones. I can see any table that they've given me access to, which some may be good layouts, some may not be. There's a very simplified one. But I can't actually change the data because it's in this what we call read-only view, which is really handy so that you can see data and I can actually look up data so I can still do my finds like we talked about earlier. And I can usually, and in order to do this, I'm going to have to come back to screen. Sorry for the flipping again. change back to my full screen here. If I have this database and I did a find, let's say I did all of the 11th graders, so I'm just going to say find matching records, and I have those 587, but I really only want people in homeroom 229, so I come down to constrain found set, so it's going to show me only the ones that are in 229. So I have just 11th graders in 229. I'm just using it as an example. Oops, let me zoom in here so you can see it a little bit better. So I just did 11th graders that are in room 229. I did my constrain found set. So I right clicked there and said constrain found set, or I could have said find matching records. The difference is that I wanted to stay in grade 11. The other thing that you can do with someone's read-only database, because I can't, make changes, even if I hit this delete button, I'm going to say you're going to get that error message. You can't. I can't add anything. You're going to get an error message. You can't. But I can do, if they've allowed me to, which most times they do, I can do an export. So I can come down to where it says export records, and I can say, okay, give me these records. And by default, it jumps to this thing called tab separated text. If I don't want tab separated text, I could do comma separated, or I could come down to a really handy function, Filemaker, so I could save their database, their data in my own database, so I can manipulate it my ways. No, I'm not touching their database. I'm not saving, I'm not changing their data. I can also save it into an Excel document, which is really handy. If I click on FileMaker, it's going to ask me what fields do I want. Again, back to what we talked about earlier when we were doing our sorting. I can export the records in just this layout or in the entire table. And the difference is sometimes there are fields that are hidden because they're not needed, just like we did just a minute ago in that other import that we did, where we can hide fields that we don't want to see, but the data is still there. We're just hiding the view of them. So I can change the choice here from current layout to current table. I can also switch to another table inside there, but that's more advanced. If I wanted everything that they had there, I could just click the Move All button, say Export. It's going to export to this database right here on my desktop. Double click there, and there it is. Now, I want to show the difference. This is my database that I created with all this nice fanciness, and over here is the one that I just created by doing an export. Notice that when I did it by an export, I only have one layout, where when we did the import by dragging an Excel or CSV file onto the icon, we got two layouts, layout 1 and layout 2, which was form view and list view. Here, I only get one layout, and it's the form layout. If I click table, I get it, but notice I got a lot of empty records because of how it imports. I get this extra information in between each one that's not really what I need. So you just want to be careful when you do that. There's a lot of blank records. You want to be very careful when you do that. So taking someone else's database and making your own is nice, but be aware of what data you're actually getting out of it. So I have these 21 records. I could come down to where it says export records, and I can export them as a Excel document. Again, it will go onto my desktop. You can name it something if you want. Okay, continue. And again, here now I'm going to get all my exports that I have. I don't want all those. I just want really the name that they have. So there's one here called student full name. Their student ID, their password. So that when someone asks me what their password is, I can say, what's their password? I click export. And now I have this file here. I do my space bar and I see a preview of their name, their ID, and their password. I now have it. I can do anything else I want with it. Okay. The other thing that you can do with this database that someone's given you is when you click on preview, you get a mini, basically print preview of it. But what's really handy is you get two other things at the top. I'm going to click exit for just a second, and I'm going to switch to my list view, because my list view is going to be a little bit easier to do with the next part here. So there's my list view of the same stuff, basically. When I click preview, I get that same preview, and I get this button at the top that says Save as Excel or Save as PDF. That's very handy. When I click Save as PDF, it actually does the same thing as on a Mac, where you do File, Print, and then say PDF. On a PC, you actually have to print it to the printer icon, PDF. I can save this again on my desktop. It'll show up here. Hitting the space bar shows me that it's actually just a PDF of that page. So it's those 21 students in their listing of their student name, their login name, which is a little bit different, and their password. A very handy feature. I can also, while I'm in this preview mode, click Save as Excel. And when I do that, I'm going to get that same thing we're just going to talk about, and I want to replace that one that we did a little while ago. So I'm going to hit replace, and now here is that file, and this time I have it a little bit different because there are two hidden fields that you don't see in here that are hidden inside here, but they're actually in this Excel document. Notice that it took out this extra stuff at the top. It didn't put that in for us. So it's very, very handy when you use Save as Excel. It'll take just the data and it won't do that opposite of what you normally would get when you're trying to import an Excel document into Filemaker, and it has that extra stuff at the top. This stuff is really nice because it's really just a header field. The data actually starts here on this first record. That is very similar to the Save as, Send Records as Excel PDF. That's what I just did under the preview. So I have the export records, and then I have this. This is the same thing as print. When I do print, I could choose PDF here and say save as a PDF. That's a Mac version. On a PC, it would be print, and then choose your Acrobat printer icon. One other thing I want to point out on this database that I've been given access to by read-only is when I click on under File and I say Import Records, notice how it's all grayed out. I can't import in here because, as the name implies, read-only. I can only read this database. I can't actually do anything to it to change the data. I can do a print just like I talked about. Okay, and I also can't go into manage database because I don't have access to that. So I can't do any of those things here. Okay, pause for just a second. Anyone have a question? No questions. Okay. Perfect. All right. Last thing I wanted to cover is manipulating an object on an existing database. So if I go back to, nope. Was it here? No, that's not the one I want. Oh, I know what I did. Sorry about that. I want to go to open recent, and I want to open it as me this time. So I'm going back to my same database that I had before, and I'm going to try and make it so you can see it. So let's try this one more time. A little bit easier to see on your screen. If I wanted to change, and I'm going to come down to my copy that I made for us to do this in. If I wanted to make this so that I had this layout differently, I can go into layout mode again, browse layout mode, and let's see if this works. Yes. Okay. I have the fields listed. So this is the name of the field as a label, but here's the actual field. And I don't want homerooms being so big, so I can actually drag that in and adjust it. I'm going to get rid of this because this is that little icon that we had for uh, if it's changed or not. I'm just going to get them out to clean this up here. And I'm going to move grade up next to it because grade is, again, not a very big field. So I'm going to drag that up there, and I'm going to put grade up there next to it. Notice that it gives me these little guide bars, these little blue guide bars, so I can match up that. I go to the end where I have the grab bars, and I'm going to pull it in so it's nice and succinct. And now homeschool, I'm going to click both the homeschool label and the actual field. I'm going to hold the shift key down so I get both of those fields at the same time, and I can move them up so that they're lined up. Now notice that this isn't quite lined up, and I really want it to be nice and neat. So I'm going to click out of it. I'm going to click on what's called white space to unhighlight the two of them. Click there so I'm back on that same field. Come back over here, and then I'm going to line it up. And notice how it jumps so it's matching. You can't really see it because my mouse is in the way, but it jumped from here right to there so it matched that field length. So this is the same amount of space. That gives me this ability so that this is much more succinct because homeroom isn't going to be long, and grade obviously is going to be, a maximum 2 characters. So I have lots of space in there. Now here, I have this box that I've made that's blue, and I really don't want to waste a bunch of blue ink. So I can double click or click on it once to highlight it and come up here to my icon. No, not that. There it is. Oh, you probably didn't see that. Here's where the color is. So I highlight it there. Oops. Highlight the box there, and here's my color here. I can click so it's no color. Oh, that's the border. Sorry. I'm going to give it a black border, and this is the fill, and I want to have no fill. So I just have this line around it. I'm not going to waste a lot of color printing that box. Same thing here. I can click there and change my fill so I don't actually have that. And here's another way that I can save ink by not having that extra color coming across. So here where I can display, and we don't need NutriKids pin anymore because we don't use that in here, and we don't need this here. So this is just their, just their password and their username and a nice thing. I don't need this stuff here. Notice how I'm clicking and dragging. So I'm clicking and dragging it over these fields. I can go all the way down to here, and I can hit the delete key and it goes away. And I went, oh wait, that had enrollment date, so I don't want that. So I can actually do the undo command, Command Z, and undo that, delete, because it's really not deleting them. It's just removing them from this layout. The data is still there. You don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to delete that. This is my enrollment date, so I know when they came into school. I can move that over here so it's nice and easy. I'm not going to worry about changing their password because I can't do it anyways. Get rid of that. This is that user info field. I don't need this over here. I don't need any of this over here. And the grade's already listed there, so I don't need that. See how I'm deleting everything? I'm just highlighting it and deleting it. And because I'm going to have this be for me, I can actually shrink this stuff up. So I'm going to come up here at the top, and I don't need that field either. I'm going to come up here to the top. I'm going to drag, and it's going to show me all this stuff. Now I can click here, and it's going to shrink everything proportionate. See how it does that? So it's all nice and synced in this one layout for me. When I go back to browse mode now, I have my layout. Here's the only part that it messed up when I did that drag. So we're going to go back in layout mode, and this is where it moved it down. I don't really want it to move down. So I'm going to go back up here, and I want to make sure that this is only on one line. It's there. And I don't need this button here either. And I really don't need these things here because they're for that old layout. I don't need that. 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 Look at all that stuff I cleaned up. I'm highlighting everything and getting rid of it. I can make this so that it goes across. Make it up and big. So I'm doing all this navigation. I don't know if you noticed it or not, but when I move this up, see how it matched it right there, what's the student full name? So it's the same height as student full name. I can click and drag again. See, it shows me something I have over here that's hidden. I don't want that. Now I click and drag. And this time, rather than use the mouse, I'm going to use my arrow key. So I'm going to go up with my arrow key. I'm moving everything up so it's just really nice and tight. I'm in layout mode. So I can do all this nice fancy stuff. When I go back into browse mode, I get to see it just like I would. So there's the student's full name, their ID, their first and last name, and there's a field right there for the middle name, their homeroom, the grade, everything's there, nice succinct. And when I do a print dialog box, notice that I'm not going to be wasting a lot of ink if I was printing to a color printer. Or any printer, actually, because I'm not doing all those big backgrounds. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, a reminder that the sessions that we're doing for this summer PD always start at 10:30. They'll go to close to noon. This one's ending a little bit early at 11:33. I will be sending out feedback requests. Please respond to those feedback requests. Your feedback makes the classes better. Tomorrow's session, the next session in our series, will be, I think it's on Mac OS 10, which is the operating system that we're dealing with on these computers. PC users, if you happen to be tuning in, probably don't need to be in for that session. The session tomorrow, again, will start at 10:30, Mac OS 10 Basics, where we're going to be covering Yosemite, which is the operating system that we've moved to this summer. Please be there if you would like to join in on that session. And if not, don't forget that all sessions are recorded for later use. Thanks, and have a good day.